debuted their new mini tournament format last night, I guess. Shaq's OGs took down Team Chuck in a race to 40 for the championship. Curry winning MVP. Rue, you a fan of the new format?
I'm not a fan of the new format, but I will say it worked. It was much better than the last 7 years or so.
Yeah.
Like, they competed. Like, the desired end of it came to pass because I was much more into the games than I was, the previous 5 or 6, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They competed, they defended, you saw block shots. It wasn't all 3-pointers. Like,
you saw whining about missed calls, which means people cared.
Right,
Actually...
right. They were competitive, and that's what we want. It's a shame they couldn't just play a regular all-star game and be close to that level of competition. But I thought that worked. The problem was the breaks in between the games, and even in the championship game, which obviously is only up to 40, that's like not even a quarter and a half probably, you had a 20-minute break.
Yeah.
And I heard from, the players were complaining about it, but I also heard from people that were at the game and like, it was just way too many breaks. We talked about it earlier. It was like a 3-hour show and about 30 minutes of live basketball. So it just felt like you're not getting enough basketball. And you're certainly not getting, like, Steph's the MVP. That's fine. He deserved it. But it was like, this doesn't feel like a normal MVP because it was chopped up so much.
I think even Steph said that with the award.
So I think that we maybe got too far into the criticism of the All-Star game because, so last 2 years were brutal.
Terrible.
But 2022 was a good game with a good finish. They did the Elam ending,
but that was a change.
Right, that was a change. And 2020 was an awesome game, and it felt like it was, because, go ahead,
They
Boyd.
wore the Kobe jersey.
Exactly right. That was right after Kobe had passed everyone. So 2020 was good, 2022 was good, and then last year and the year before were laughable. And so they make this change. I thought the basketball was better than the production. And so it felt to me like there are some tweaks that need to be made. Like, and everybody loves Kevin Hart, but there was a lot more Kevin Hart than it was Kevin Durant. You know what I mean?
It was more Kevin Hart than anybody.
But anytime you do something new, it's like, oh, okay, this worked, this didn't. And so I have, like.
So you want to stick with this format?
I liked it. What I didn't, so I understand, and we'll play the Draymond sound in a bit, the complaint about the young guys getting in. I understand that piece of it.
Right.
I think that this format, if you tweaked it to where instead of being to 40, it was to 50, and where it was instead of 8-man teams, 7-man teams, and all-stars, that works. Now you're going to say that's 28 instead of 24.
Which is fine. We got 28 teams.
Well, it was 30
I've been saying they should. I've been saying they should expand the All-Stars.
Well, that's
15.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, they started. I couldn't believe this. They started doing 24 All-Stars when the league had 12 teams.
Yep.
Now we have 30 teams, still 24 All-Stars. I don't want to water it down massively, but if you added 4 new All-Stars, 4 7-player All-Star teams, and this format, I do think the playing to a score and that creates a sense of urgency. And I also think that there is a weird thing with the narrative surrounding the NBA right now where everything's just negative. Like, nobody gives a damn about the Pro Bowl, and nobody looks at it as...
But that's always been pretty bad.
Right, but nobody looks at it as an indictment on the NFL as a whole that the Pro Bowls people aren't into.
The thing is, the NBA All-Star Game used to be like must-see TV.
Exactly.
And I agree that 2020 was good, and there have been some good ones here and there. But I remember feeling in 2015 when it was in New York that it's just the competition. That's when they started shooting over 100 three-pointers, the teams combined. And that's when I think it started to get away from us. But Giannis and Victor Wembanyama, they were saying, let's do international versus American.
I've heard that a few times.
Yeah, and so that's 2 international dudes calling for this. So I'm like, let's do that. I get it. You'd have, trouble getting maybe 12 to 15 international All-Stars. Yeah. I would say if that's the format, because I think everyone would love to see that, international versus American. You just pick the All-Star stars like you usually do, and then if you have to add some international guys, you do to the team to fill it out.
That'll give that international player some eyes that whatever that international players that you would add.
Yeah, and they wouldn't officially be all-stars because I think you want to keep
You name your all-stars and
like
then you
usual.
fill out the rosters.
Right.
So Draymond was part of the broadcast. He was not an all-star because, like most years of his career, he was not named to the team. But it did not stop him from, basically declaring himself czar of the All-Star weekend. Here's what he said.
You work all year to be an all-star, and you get to play up to 40, and then you're done. This is so unfair to Victor Wembanyama, who just took this game really seriously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just took this game really seriously. When you talk about chasing after the points records, we're about to watch the Olympic team. Now we get the treat of watching the Olympic team play against a U19 team. Come on, what are we doing? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, scale of 1 to 10, your thoughts of the format?
10 being the best.
Yes.
A 0 sucks.
Okay, so I guess I'm just going to assume that the 147 players who have made more All-Star games than Draymond Green in NBA history were not available to comment. So it was like, Draymond, it's up to you. I agree with him that the Rising Stars being a part of Sunday night, that probably should be changed. Like that part, I agree with him on that part. Where I disagree and where I am disappointed is that you're right, Brew. This is a big spotlight weekend for the league. Yep. And for Draymond to be so just vitriolic and publicly negative about the league in a time where the league, yes, it's making a ton of money because of the TV deal, but I think PR-wise, it's been a rough year. It felt like the Luka trade kind of gave the league a boost after it. And so I just don't see the need for it. And I certainly don't see the need for it on that platform when it's going to then. Today, all day long, KD has just been kind of defending the league on Twitter. Like, people are just going to complain. People want to complain. You know what? Just cancel it if you're just going to complain. Give us the full week off. And I don't think that's productive for anybody. Well,
it probably, look, it may have been personal. And he brought it up that, hey, I had to work my tail off to play on Sunday night. So I get that. But I agree with you on having these rising stars on Sunday night. That gives them a stage they haven't earned. But I think the league may have done that to be like, this will get the guys to compete. Because you don't want these freshmen and sophomores, that's what they call them, winning this tournament. So I think that was a part of it. Damian Lillard had a great idea. He said, get the snubs, the guys that really could have been all-stars but weren't, make that the fourth team. That would have been interesting because you still had that competitiveness there. But the bottom line is this. Draymond, while he, like you said, he made a good point or two, his ire should have been saved for the all-stars, including himself, in the past, who have turned the game into a joke. Like, they just haven't wanted to compete. Adam Silver's just looking for, how in the world can I get these dudes to play some real basketball? They play harder in the summer at UCLA and all these other places they go play than they do in the All-Star game. And that's what got us to this point that dudes weren't competing. So that's the problem, and he should have talked to the All-Stars and been like, look, that's enough for this guy. He could have added that on the broadcast. We got to start competing in this game so we don't have to pull out gimmicks and tricks.
Real quick, Wayne, before we move on. I thought they were competing last night. I thought last night, whatever, and that's why I'm so bummed it's such a negative kind of conversation afterwards. I understand there was too many breaks. It was too, they need to fix some of those things. But if the goal was get guys to take it seriously and try, that was achieved. Yeah. Guys took it seriously and tried. I agree. So I don't know why there's so much negativity the actual
after. Game
The actual games
good.
itself were good, I thought. All
right. No doubt.
Moving on to the King. He was a late scratch last night due to the ankle and foot discomfort, but it ends a 20-year streak of LeBron playing in the All-Star game. Some people weren't happy. The news came so late, so they couldn't name a replacement. Were any issues with LeBron sitting out?
Certainly no issues with him sitting out. I mean, 40 years old, had missed the regular season game with this same injury to ankle and sore foot. And even, I'm surprised that LeBron is getting so much criticism for this.
Really?
He's been called selfish. Well, even some guys who have typically been defenders of LeBron have called him selfish and stuff. And my thing is, he said